It's my understanding that dad fully supports her. They made a GoFundMe for her, and GoFundMe shut it down. Oh boy, here we go.
First and foremost, my heart aches for the Hutchins family and friends and colleagues as well. And it has since the day this tragedy occurred. Helena has been and always will be an inspiration to me. I understand she was taken too soon, and I pray that you all find peace. I am beyond grateful that Joel survived that terrible day. My heart goes out to the film industry for the devastating pain that this tragedy caused and the old wounds that have been reopened. I am saddened by the way the media sensationalized our traumatic tragedy and portrayed me as a complete monster, which has actually been the total opposite of what's been in my heart.
I mean, they got Jailhouse Calls, Hannah, but okay.
Your Honor, when I took on Rust, I was young and I was naive, but I took my job as seriously as I knew how to. Despite not having proper time, resources, and staffing, when things got tough, I just did my best to handle it. Today, I humbly ask you to consider probation, a probation where I can contribute to society through community service, and I can continue my counseling, and I welcome any classes that you may deem necessary for me to attend. I give you my word now that I would strictly follow the rules and respect the parameters of that probation. I beg you, please don't give me more time. The jury has found me in part at fault for this god-awful tragedy, but that makes me a monster. That makes me human. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, and I believe Dale Reed would like to speak to the court this time.
Hi, Wayne. Yeah, still doesn't bear responsibility. She's like, I was young.
Thank you, Your Honor. Brief statement, it's a horrible tragedy for that wonderful lady, Helena, to lose her life. Also be a tragedy to put my daughter, Hannah, in the penitentiary for that. It's alleged she introduced live ammunition on the set. That's not true. Why would she? The two people...
Because she was incompetent. That's why she brought the live ammunition on the set. She was incompetent and she didn't know. And that's the reason why she didn't check on set, because she just assumed there's just no live ones at all. Oh my God. Ah!
Live ammunition on the set. That's not true. Why would she? The two people responsible for whatever come on the set are the vendor and the property master who had to work for her. On that terrible day, they had Hannah off the set doing prop duties, and she asked him to please bring her back on when Mr. Bowman comes so he could do it.
This is not a good look to be arguing the facts of the case when the jury has already found the facts of this case. You know what I'm saying? Like, for him to argue the facts right now to the judge, like, it's just not a good look.
I'll check on the gun.
I wonder if Hannah wrote the speech. It was like, here, Dad, read this to me, okay? Read this for me.
Please bring her back on when Mr. Bowman comes so he could do a final check on the gun. And it's instruction off the set. Would she? The two people responsible for whatever come on the set are the vendor and the property master who had to work for her. On that terrible day, they had Hannah off the set doing prop duties, and she asked him to please bring her back on when Mr. Bowman comes so he could do a final check on the gun. And it's instructions. They did not do that. If they had, this horrible day would not happen. Thank you, Your Honor.
She shouldn't have left the gun also, though. Why would you leave the gun? Why not just stay with the gun?
Ladies and gentlemen of the court.
Thank you.
Oh, God, that was horrible. Oh, Mr. Dale Reed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And just briefly, Judge, I've made most of my arguments in the written pleadings. And Judge, it's nobody in this courtroom could not be moved by what we just saw. The family, Helena's family, her friends, it was a horrible tragedy. There's no doubt about that. And it's a tragedy for everybody.
I'm sorry, I don't think your client was moved.
There were a number of lives changed, lost. That day, her friends talked about that. and that includes Ms. Gutierrez. I just want the court to know primarily that she has felt remorse. And maybe I've talked to her as much as anybody, at least on the legal side, Ms. She's broken down. She's had mental breakdowns. She said, if only, many, many, many times. And it hasn't come out. It hasn't come out until today because of the legal proceedings and the system
I'm sorry, but we saw her demeanor when the police interrogated her. We saw her demeanor just like sitting there. She came back for interrogation about 3 weeks after the shooting happened, and we saw her demeanor on there too. She was just talking very casually, blasé.
But she has truly felt remorse, and I will tell the court that, as an officer of the court, that she has indicated that to me.
And then when she found out that Helena died at the hospital, what did she do? She gave the bag of alleged cocaine/protein powder to a coworker that wasn't even close to her because she was afraid of getting in trouble further.
This court has seen jail calls she's made. I would submit to this court that you could probably survey 100 people after something like this happens, including everybody that participated in the trial, scrutinize all of our calls, and pick out something bad that one of us said. Because, Your Honor, none of us are what we are on our best day, nor are we what we are on our worst day. And as Ms. Gutierrez said, she's human. She's flawed just like everybody else in this courtroom. We, this court, to consider fairness in respect that this was a cascade of tragedy. As some of the speakers indicated, there were multiple system failures by multiple people. Some of those people have come before the court, as this court knows, and received 6-month misdemeanor probation. Some have not been punished. Some have yet to come before the court. At least one individual is going to be tried in July. And so I know this court has the responsibility to weigh all of that and to determine what is commensurate and fair, as one speaker said, for Ms. Gutierrez. And what does that mean in the scope of things, and what has come before this court? And I'm asking the court to consider that. And also what probation might do for her in terms of rehabilitation, which is another goal of our system, Your Honor.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
You see, I would have sympathy. It was just like one really bad mistake that was fucked, and it resulted in the shooting. But it was like over and over. Like the state did a really good job at showing that she didn't do a good job at her own job, that she just took it kind of like a super chill way. They did a really good job at showing that. It wasn't just like, oh, she was very thorough at her job, and then she like completely just truly just like fucked up or something.
All right, so I've made some notes along the way, so if I refer to the notes and I'm not looking at tables, it's because I'm reading. First of all, thank you for your presentations. Thank the friends and family of Helena for presenting their memories and their losses of Helena. There are really 3 choices for sentencing before me. What the defense wants is a conditional discharge. This means straight probation, unless Ms. Gutierrez comes back on a probation violation.
She said misery.
She won't have a felony conviction on her record, so she can continue to possess firearms.
No.
Again, unless she comes back on a probation violation and receives the imposition of the probated sentence. The second one has not been offered by counsel, but I've certainly thought of it, and it's to continue her in the Santa Fe County Detention Center. That would be for 12 months. That's all she's allowed to stay at the detention center. And then put her on probation for the rest of the time. She's facing 18 months. She's got pre-sentence confinement for about a month or so.
Wait, what? That's it? She's at a detention center. What? That's it? 12 months detention center, and then the rest?
In this scenario, she won't experience prison. She will be a convicted felon. She cannot carry a firearm under federal law and for a specific time under New Mexico law.
Oh, this is scenario 2. Okay.
And then there's prison. And the state has proposed at 85% of the time sentenced to incarceration based on the serious violent offense statute.
So 85% of 18 months?
For all the fanfare and pundits and finger pointing that has been going on for over 2 years, we were able to seat a jury of her peers who confirmed they could listen to the evidence received in court and determine the facts and apply the law. They found Ms. Gutierrez guilty of involuntary manslaughter. What were some of the poignant facts that came out during the trial? In her police interview, she proudly owned her position as armorer. On October 21st, 2021, chaos ended after the film crew walked off. Ms. Hutchins and others were trying to rig, if you will, how they were going to keep filming. And what was the defendant doing while waiting? She was loading Alec Baldwin's gun. Did she have enough time to load the weapon safely? Plenty. Did she load the weapon? Yes. With dummies and a live round. Did she check what she was loading? No. Why? Well, in her own words, most recently, in her jail calls, she didn't need to be shaking the dummies all the time.
Yeah, she said that the jailhouse calls. Oh, no. She said the witnesses on the stand lied about it and she didn't need to be shaking the dummies all the time.
Did she check after that? No. And while you've heard her concerns about how she'll never work again as an armorer leading up to the trial, have her concerns changed? No. Here's what she says.
Oh, no.
This whole thing has been a character attack on her. Just recently, in her allocution, I'm not a monster. And what does... Oh, where is it? They talk about how much of on the phone, she and another are talking about how much of Hannah's life that they could take up, and that this is messing up her modeling career.
She did say that.
This is while she's incarcerated, waiting for a sentence. And what does she say about the death of Helena? Hannah is dismissive of the judge talking about someone dying as a result of her actions. Hannah says she's looking at 13 months, which is ridiculous over what happened. Hannah says that people have accidents and people die. It's an unfortunate part of life, but it doesn't mean she should be in jail.
I'm telling you guys, those jailhouse calls were bad.
A conditional discharge is not appropriate. And the second option of leaving you in the detention center would be giving you a pass you do not deserve. I did not hear you take accountability in your allocution.
Nope.
You said you were sorry. You were sorry, but not you were sorry for what you did. You were sorry for it and hope they can find peace. It was your attorney that had to tell the court that you were remorseful.
Yes, Mr. Bowles was like, shit, my client's speech sucked. You know what? I'm going to go up there and let me just redo her speech for you, okay?
The word remorse, a deep regret, coming from a sense of guilt for past wrongs. That's not you. You're hereby sentenced as follows. Stand. I am sentencing you to 18 months of incarceration at a New Mexico Women's Correctional Facility. I find that what you did constitutes a serious violent offense. It was committed in a physically violent manner, a fatal gunshot, done with your recklessness in the face of knowledge that your acts were reasonably likely to result in serious harm. You were the armorer, the one that stood between a safe weapon and a weapon that could kill someone. You alone turned a safe weapon into a lethal weapon. But for you, Miss Hutchins would be alive, a husband would have his partner, and a little boy would have his mother. Please take her.
Get her out of my court.
I'm going to ask the deputies to watch how the courtroom gets cleared. Please do an order of remand to the transport order to the Department of Corrections and the judgment.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
How come she has jelly sands in her mouth?
We are in recess.
I don't know if it was like the lighting or shadowing, or maybe it's like acne or eczema. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Okay, well, we're going to go over the jailhouse calls because they are so bad. They are bad. I was reading them yesterday and I was like, there's no way. There's no way they're this bad. I thought some of the news outlets were exaggerating, or I don't know, maybe it was like one of those like fake news website or some shit like that. But we got a hold of the state's response and she summarizes the jailhouse calls. There has been several news outlets that has requested the state to release the jailhouse calls. So I don't have access to the actual calls yet, but we got like a summary of it. It looks like allergic reaction. Could be that too. I don't know. Jesus. 18 months in prison. I mean, honestly, 18 months, I don't know. That's laughable. I'm glad that she got the max, but I'm thinking, some of you guys were saying a couple years. Yeah, I think she should have faced like max, I don't know, maybe like 3 to 5 years or something.